The woman who invented Mother's Day spent the last years of her life trying to destroy it. She died in 1948, blind, penniless, and alone, inside a sanitarium in Pennsylvania. She had no husband, she had no children, she had spent every dollar she owned, filed lawsuit after lawsuit, and crashed public events with protest signs. All of this to stop the very holiday she had created. My friends, you think you know Mother's Day. You see it every year. The flowers, the cards, the chocolates in heart-shaped boxes, the restaurants full of families on a Sunday afternoon. But what if I told you the true story behind this holiday is one of love, grief, betrayal, and one woman's furious, heartbroken fight against the world? Today, that story belongs to you. Before there were flowers and chocolates, there were torches and temples. The ancient Greeks held a great festival each spring to honor Rhea, the mother of the gods. Rhea was powerful. She was ancient. She gave birth to Zeus, Poseidon, and Hera. The Greeks believed that to honor a mother was to honor the source of all life. They lit torches at night. They sang in the streets. They brought offerings to her temple. The Romans had their own celebration, called Hilaria. It lasted 3 days. People wore costumes, marched through the city, and made offerings to Cybele, the great mother goddess. The word Hilaria means joy. It means celebration. These ancient people understood something deep and true, that the woman who gives you life deserves more than one day. She deserves a festival. This impulse, this need to honor our mothers, is not modern. It is not American. It is not a marketing invention. It is as old as civilization itself. But how did it become the holiday we know today? For that, we need to travel to a small town in West Virginia and meet a woman named Anne. Her name was Anne Reeves Jarvis, and she believed that a mother's love had no side in a war. Picture her clearly. It is 1861. The American Civil War has just begun. The hills of Appalachia are torn apart. Neighbor fighting neighbor, brother killing brother. Soldiers come home with infected wounds and broken bodies. The smell of blood and smoke hangs in the air like a dark cloud. Anne Reeves Jarvis does not pick a side. She picks up bandages. She organizes groups of women. They call them Mother's Day work clubs. These women clean wounds. They cook food. They nurse soldiers from the north and from the south. It does not matter which uniform a young man wears. If he is suffering, Anne is there. She is not a famous woman. She is not wealthy, but she is resilient. Resilient means strong. It means you do not break when life is hard. Anne Reeves. Jarvis bends and bends and bends, but she does not break. She has a daughter. Her name is Anna. Little Anna watches her mother every single day. She watches the kindness. She watches the sacrifice, the giving of your time, your energy, your comfort for someone else. She watches her mother choose love over and over again, even when love is exhausting. When the war ends, Anne continues. She works for mother's health. She works for cleaner water and safer food for families. She works until her hands are worn and her body is tired. On the 5th of May, 1905, Anne Reeves Jarvis dies quietly in her bed. And something inside her daughter Anna breaks open and never fully closes again. On the morning of May 10, 1908, Anna Jarvis carried white carnations into a small church in Grafton, West Virginia, and the world would never be the same. She had chosen white carnations deliberately. Deliberately means with a specific reason, with intention. White because her mother was pure in heart. Carnations because her mother had loved them. Anna gave carnations to every mother in that church. She read letters her mother had written. She spoke about sacrifice. She wept openly. It was not a party. It was not a sale. It was a memorial, a sacred, quiet act of love. Sacred means deeply holy. It means something you must treat with the greatest respect. For Anna, Mother's Day was sacred. The idea spread quickly. Churches across America adopted it. Newspapers wrote about it. By 1914, just 6 years later, President Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation making Mother's Day an official national holiday. The second Sunday of May, every year, forever. Anna Jarvis had done it. She had honored her mother. She had given America a day of remembrance. But then, almost immediately, everything began to go wrong. Florists raised their prices overnight. Greeting card companies printed millions of cards. Candy makers designed special Mother's Day boxes. Department stores ran sales. The smell of fresh carnations was replaced by the smell of money. Anna watched in horror. She had not created a shopping day. She had created a day of remembrance, a day to sit with your mother, hold her hand, write her a personal letter, tell her what she means to you. Not to buy a pre-written card with someone else's words. Not to order roses through a catalog. Not to make a restaurant reservation and call it love. She called it a Hallmark holiday. She said the greeting card industry had taken something sacred and turned it into something hollow. Hollow means empty inside, like a shell with nothing in it, beautiful on the outside, nothing on the inside. And Anna Jarvis decided to go to war. She had no children of her own, no fortune left, and no allies. But Anna Jarvis was not finished. She began writing letters, hundreds of them, to politicians, to companies, to newspapers. She filed lawsuits against organizations using the name Mother's Day for commercial events. She crashed a 1923 Mother's Day luncheon in Philadelphia. She stood up in the middle of the room and shouted her protest until police removed her. She was arrested. She was mocked. Journalists called her unstable. People said she had lost her mind. But had she? Can you imagine creating something from pure grief, from the deepest love you have ever felt, and then watching the world turn it into a transaction? A transaction is a business exchange, money for goods. Anna had offered the world something priceless. The world handed it to florists. She spent her entire inheritance fighting this battle. Inheritance means the money and property left to you by someone who has died. Her mother had left her something. Anna spent every last dollar of it trying to protect her mother's memory. By the time she entered the sanitarium in 1943, she was nearly blind. She could no longer write her letters. She could no longer fight. But the story, my friends, is not finished. There is a name that history almost erased, and she deserves to be remembered. Her name was Julia Ward Howe. You may know her as the woman who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic, one of the most powerful songs of the American Civil War. But in 1870, Julia Ward Howe did something that history has largely forgotten. She wrote a Mother's Day proclamation. It was not about flowers. It was not about chocolates. It was a call for peace. Julia had watched two terrible wars, the American Civil War and the Franco-Prussian War in Europe. She had seen what happened when men with weapons made decisions without wisdom. She believed that mothers, women who carry life, who raise life, who grieve when life is lost, should stand together across every nation and demand peace. Her proclamation said, "We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs." It is a magnificent sentence. Magnificent means grand and beautiful, far beyond ordinary. It means we love our children too much to let them become weapons against someone else's children. Julia's version of Mother's Day never became official. Her idea was political, radical, and collective. The world was not ready. History moved on, and Anna Jarvis's quieter, more personal version survived instead. But Julia's question remains, and it is still waiting for an answer. Every year, on the second Sunday of May, millions of people reach for their phones, and somewhere, Anna Jarvis's spirit smiles just a little because at least they are calling. A phone call, not a transaction, not a glossy card. A voice, your voice, saying, "I am thinking of you. I see you. You matter to me." Think about the women in this story. Anne Reeves Jarvis, kneeling beside a wounded soldier in 1862, her hands smelling of medicine and earth. Julia Ward Howe, sitting at a wooden desk in 1870, writing furious, hopeful words by candlelight. Anna Jarvis, standing in a flower-filled church in 1908, holding white carnations against her chest, trying not to cry. Each of these women understood something that we sometimes forget in the noise of modern life. Love is not a product. Love is not something you can purchase, wrap in ribbon, and hand over a counter. Love is presence. Love is attention. Love is saying, without being asked, I remember what you gave me and I have not forgotten. Mother's Day is a mirror. When we look at it honestly, we do not see a holiday. We see a question. How well are we honoring the people who shaped us? Not once a year, not with a card, but in the daily, quiet, sometimes inconvenient acts of showing up. Anna Jarvis never had children, but she gave millions of children and millions of mothers a day to find each other again. That is its own kind of love, imperfect, fierce, heartbroken, and completely, undeniably real. My friends, this Mother's Day, or any day, put down the card. Pick up the phone, knock on the door, sit at the table. Ask her about her life before you were in it. You may be surprised by the woman you find. May you always have time to say what matters, before the time to say it is gone.